Good evening, Cheeseheads, and welcome to our first World Cup preview show. There's been a lot of work on the background going in on this, so hopefully we'll have a few people watching and it'll all go well. So we'll get straight into it. With me tonight, all the way from Vienna, as very often I do have with me, HG. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. For the World Cup thing, I thought I'd do a bit more design behind me. I got, my American wife with the flag up here and some various other things to show that I'm still all about England. I don't care about the States at all. But yeah, you got a flag behind you, so we are suddenly more patriotic today than we were yesterday, and I'm ready to talk about football.
Yeah, I just thought I'd maybe get rid of the magnolia. And this is the first thing I thought. When I got it, I thought that is a little bit overkill, but, we'll run with it
nice.
anyway.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah.
Could have got the iron on it, though, couldn't I? Look, I think I'm disrespecting the flag. No. And then also, for a first-timer, we've got Musa with us tonight, and I'm going to let Musa introduce himself. Go on,
Hello,
Musa.
Guys. Good evening. Good evening to everyone who's watching. I assume some of my friends from Facebook also joined. I don't know. I'll check it out later. So for other people who do not know who I am, enormous football fan from Bosnia, and that's pretty much it. You have to need to know. Everything else about me is boring. So I love football. I've been watching football ever since I was a little kid, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm sad that Bosnia didn't qualify, but we didn't stand a chance. I don't think so. I'm happy. Looking forward to the World Cup and looking forward to this show.
Well, I'm sure, Musa, you'll be just fine if you love football. And like I said before, you'll probably have a lot more knowledge on some of these teams than I will. And yeah, so look, it's all a bit of fun. Get people putting stuff in the comments, and we'll try and answer as much as we can. But first of all, I think we should just get straight into Group A. So here we go. So Group A, we've got Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. So HG, looking at this group, do you look at that and think, that's a group I'm interested in watching, or you're a bit like, meh?
I'll be honest, because I used to live in the Netherlands, I do want the Dutch to do quite well. It's not their best squad by any means, but I love watching the Dutch. I whatever orange I've got will go on for that game on Monday afternoon. And yeah, it's out of those four, that's the only one I'm really interested in. Although when I've been reading up about these teams, Ecuador are not as unknown as I thought they were. Senegal, clearly we know a lot of their players from European football, and Qatar, I mean, they are the great unknown, really, in this. But I'll definitely be watching some of those games. And even Qatar versus Ecuador doesn't strike you as being the best possible first game ever. But it's still going to be a great game of football. And it'll be interesting to watch just to see what happens. I'm very, it's the World Cup. How can you not be interested? I understand that there are obviously reasons to not watch this World Cup. But from a football perspective, if you're able to forget the other stuff, then yeah, of course I want to watch these games. Absolutely.
Greatest show on the planet. But yeah, Musa, looking at that group then, anybody you fancy, anybody you think would really struggle before we start getting into the teams, the squads and stuff?
Well, obviously the Netherlands is, I think, favorites to win the group. But in the World Cup, everything can happen. You can't just write off someone from the start. You mentioned the opening game, Qatar and Ecuador, and I think Senegal and the Netherlands are maybe the favorites to win, to go through to the last 16. And considering that, the rest of the team, Qatar and Ecuador, might think that this is the important game for them. So it maybe makes sense for this to be an opening game, because it's going to be important for the World Cup, because it's going to be the first one, and for both teams to get the win and have a good start. So it's going to be a good game. I expect it to be a good game.
Yeah. So
I have a question for you, Gibbo, before we start. Yeah. Right. So which Premier League team has 3 members of the Ecuador squad in it?
Brighton.
I know one.
Yeah. Yep. You know one. What do you think, Musa?
I only knew one, Brighton.
Yeah,
Caicedo.
Brighton. There are 3 Ecuador players that play for Brighton. One of them that we know because he plays regularly, but Caicedo. But the other 2 I didn't know too much about. But
who are they? HG is one of them. Who's the lad?
Estupinian. That's right. Yeah, he does. He plays often too, and I forgot him. I think the other one is called Sarmiento, and he was the one that I remembered the name of because I don't know too much about him. But yeah, it's like I don't think any of us think South American teams, and we think Colombia. We don't necessarily think Ecuador, but Ecuador do. We've played them in World Cups before.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure we've played them.
And so it's I don't know, it's going to be it's always good to see players that maybe you don't know too much about.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Go on.
With you saying that, that is the Ecuador squad. Look, magic at my fingertips. Now that's obviously very small, but Enner Valencia, HG and Musa. That's the name I've got a feeling that Enner Valencia is Ecuador's record goal scorer. I've got a feeling. If anybody can hit me up with that in the live comments,
everybody's going to be googling that quickly.
I think out of the squad, considering all the players, Valencia is easily the best one. I don't know, like all time, really don't know, but could be. He's good.
And here's another little one for HG. They've got this guy playing that Spurs were quite heavily linked to at the start of the transfer window. Hinsapi, is it? Or Hincape?
Yeah, there you go. There's another one that I forgot was Ecuadorian. The guy who plays at Leverkusen. Yeah, he's young. He's a left-sided centre-back, so obviously Spurs were very interested. And we were linked with him, which may not be the same thing. But there are some players there that we will want to see in action. We will want to see how good they are, and possibly, like I genuinely think every single Spurs fan is going to be watching these games thinking, who might we buy? And it's very different nowadays than it was 15, 20 years ago when we were looking for bargains. Whereas now we might be thinking we can go out and buy better players from more established clubs. But Ecuador, I know next to nothing about them, but there's a bunch of players that I've heard of. So I want to see them. I want to see what they're like. And I mean, the Qatari thing is the great unknown. And there's something magical about football, especially World Cup football, when you don't know what's really going to happen.
Yeah, I think part of you're part of the excitement for me is seeing these teams. But then you tend to get those games. You sit down in a World Cup and you think, oh, wonder what these are like. They got nothing to lose, these 2 teams. And you sit down and watch it, and they play an absolute stinker. But so here we go then. Musa, Qatar national team final squad. I'm sorry to throw you in at the deep end. Do you know anything about any of these players?
I know about their coach. He is in Qatar like for almost 8 years now, and he knows these players. He knows all about it, and he won Asian Cup with them 3 years ago with Qatar. They never won. Yes. And they never won anything before, and he guided them to a trophy. So something has to be happening. I read that the article. Someone was saying that Qatar had the most time to prepare for this World Cup, because when they found out that they are going to be hosts, obviously they qualified automatically, so they have a lot of time and a lot of years to prepare. So I think they're probably outsiders in this group, but we have to consider they are hosting it. They're playing in front of their own fans and family, and you know what? That has to count. That has to be important. Yeah. And I would also like to mention, I'm not really into other sports that much, but I do remember one time Qatar, I think they were hosting a handball World Cup tournament, and what they did, they loosened up the policy of gaining the citizenship, and suddenly you saw those players in Qatar shirts. They were like from France, from Croatia, from various places in the world, and you see the name like Francois or something like that. I don't really know. I might be missing it, but you go and ask yourself what happened there. This guy can't be, born in Qatar or something. But what they did was they just loosened the rules. And this time, I didn't see, looking at the squad, I didn't see anything similar to that. So maybe FIFA, punished them and forbade them to do that, because you can't just, if you loosen the rules for the citizenship, you're basically buying players for the national squad. It's almost like you go in a transfer window in January or during the summer and you buy players. That's what Qatar Handball Association did. I don't know if you knew about this, but I just randomly remembered. They're like just now.
That's good.
Um,
That's good. That's good information. But I didn't have a clue about that.
Yeah.
To answer Rainer's question
in
here,
this squad, yeah. Sorry,
Musa. I think it's fewer than I was expecting. Let's put it like that. There may be one or two, but I don't think there's many more than that have switched nationalities to play for Qatar. It's very, very much more homegrown than I thought, and I am sure they will surprise us. Absolutely.
And I think every single one of their players is from the actually plays in their like league.
Yep.
I'm not sure what's the name of their league.
Yep, Qatar.
Yeah. Is the Star League or something?
I don't know what's
the
Yeah, Star League. Yep. It is. You're right. Star League. I was almost about to say Super League. No, it's Star League.
So just between the three of us, before we move on to the next team, Musa, where do you see Qatar get? What do you think they can accomplish in this World Cup? Can you see them getting through the group?
I think. I don't think like they would like have a good chances to go, but I think that if they steal a point or two here and there, if they manage to win against someone, no one should be like too much surprised, because like I said, they're playing at their own state, at their own country. They're playing in front of their own fans and family, and as I mentioned that, so the ambition is big, and honestly, they don't have that much to lose. If they finished last or third in the group, that will be fine. They should be happy. But we should expect them to fight a lot and to fight for the right to go to the last 16, the knockout stages. Yeah. No one should be surprised if they actually manage to do that.
Well, we'll see. It won't be long now. But next up, we are going with Senegal. HG.
One of my favorite players in the tournament is going to be in the Senegal squad. If you look, he's underneath Idrissa Gana Gueye. Mustafa name has to be the most brilliant name for a football player ever. That works so well. I want to see him play. I know nothing about him, but that is just class. Senegal, again, like there are players there we all know. Obviously, Sadio Mane, Ismaila Sarr played in England. Gana Gueye, our own player, Pat Matassar. I don't know how much he's going to play for them, but even the manager, like I remember him when he was a player.
Yeah, I remember.
So they've got what, 6 or 7 players that I think most of us, if we follow any kind of European football, will know them. And it's just about how they are on the night. Like Senegal, what was it, 20 years ago now? Was it Senegal that beat France in the opening game? Like it's. You just don't know. Senegal could lose 3 games, or they could go finish top with 7 points. You just don't know what's going to happen. But I'm excited because, like, again, it's like all those South American teams. Like, unless it's Brazil or Argentina, South American teams and African teams, we forget how much we know until we see them, because we don't remember who plays for who. And so it should be that they will think that they can top the group. I've no doubt about that. I really think they will think that.
I mean, I look at those. But I'll come to you, Moose, because what I'm going to say is I sort of look at the players in that squad, and I know some of them. I don't know some. I don't know some, but I do know a fair few. But when I look at that, they look like quite a big, powerful unit. What do you think, Musa?
I was going to mention. You mentioned their coach. He was actually part of the squad in that World Cup 2002. And what I find most amazing is I watched actually one game of when Senegal played against someone, not Egypt, in the final of the African Cup. I don't know who they played, but I liked his enthusiasm on the bench. He was just so entertaining to watch, and I was happy that they won. And I think they have a lot of talented players. You mentioned a lot of them. Obviously, the most keeper is Edouard Mendy, who's probably going to be the first one. But this other keeper, Alfred Gomis, is actually doing well in French league. I think Rennes is third in League One, and Rennes is playing pretty good this season. And he's also a good quality goalkeeper. If something happened to Mendy, if he's injured, they have also a backup keeper who's also pretty good. The player that I've watched the most has to be obviously in the Premier League, but there's also this guy in AC Milan, Ballo Touré. He is also decent. They are champions of Italy as well, and he is also a player that could do well in this World Cup.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, Gibbo, we're talking about the comment here is perfect, right? England versus Senegal last 16. That's reason enough to watch this group, because if England make it through, we're going to be playing one of these teams, guaranteed. If we finish first or second, we're playing someone from Group A, and so like it's I don't want to be playing Senegal. But the thing is, I don't really want to be playing Qatar either, like because like you wouldn't like yes you would choose that game, but I go back to 2002. Like, it really would surprise me if Qatar somehow make their way into the tournament further than maybe they should have. But I don't know. Like Senegal, like if they get Sadio Mane is going to miss the first two games, I think, which is a bit rough for them because he clearly is the captain and the best player. But they are by far a one-man side. So if they keep things tight, Ismaila Sarr and Boulaye Dia, I think, was at Villarreal for a while. There's some good players there.
Where's Boulde now? Was he at Lazio at one point? We were linked with him.
Yeah, we were. Yeah,
for a time.
Yeah, his career's nosedived a little bit since then, but he's they are good enough to cause any team problems. And it's nice to say that about World Cup players. I think every World Cup team, especially this time around, there doesn't seem to be a massive favourite. Like, everyone's got a few problems. Senegal can go a long way.
Yeah. And so, like you said, HG, the likelihood here is we're going to either come up against Qatar, Ecuador, or Senegal, aren't we? That, if things go to plan.
If we win the group,
if things go to plan, that's what we're looking at. And obviously, fourth team in there, most people will know more about these players, the majority of them, than we do about, the other clubs. But Holland, favourites to win the group, Musa?
I think so, yeah. I think that their strongest squad was in that World Cup 2010. And their squad was just scary at the tournament. It's just amazing. And I don't think they're like that close to being that strong as they were in 2010, but they're still, I think, firmly the favorites to win the group. But with being the favorite and playing against the teams that really do not expect them to beat you, you'll have to feel the pressure to actually win the games. So Louis van Gaal is obviously a great manager. So I don't think he will fall to that pressure. So I think he'll be able to handle it. And I can't remember how was the Netherlands. How did they finish in the Euro Cup? What happened with them? Were they like in the last 16 eliminated from someone?
What do you mean in the Euros last year?
Yeah, Euros. Yeah, was it last year? Yeah, it was last year.
It was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I actually don't remember. I should remember. I really don't.
I was about to say I don't think they were even in it, but
they may not have qualified. Yeah.
I don't think they did qualify. I don't think they qualified for the Euros.
I mean, that would be weird if they didn't. But
I think they qualified and they lost against Ukraine or something in the last 16. They were pretty good in their group. I think they had all the wins in their group, but they were like defeated in 1-0. I think it was Ukraine. Not sure, but I think it was.
I can't remember, to be honest, but somebody, I'm sure somebody might. John's here. John's quite quick on the uptake. He might have a quick look for us and see if they were in the Euros last year. But HG, looking at that, obviously you've got the obvious names in there. We all know those players. But is there anybody in there that you think could end up, being a star in this tournament from Holland?
Not really, if only for the fact that the players that I think Van Gaal will pick are the ones that we know a lot about. And so, like, I did read weirdly a few days ago that Memphis Depay hasn't been playing for Barcelona and almost certainly won't start their first game. And Van Gaal came out and said that he was going to start Vincent Janssen as their main striker, which for every Spurs fan was like, oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. But like that Dutch side, again, it feels like they've had better individuals in the past that they couldn't kind of manufacture a team from. This lot, they could, because Van Gaal is pretty good at finding, even if it's a defensive side, he will get them results. He will make them difficult to beat. And, Van Dijk is obviously a very good defender. So I think for Holland, it's going to be, can they get enough goals? Yeah. Because, if Depay has not been playing, Bergwijn will start, I think, every game. Yeah. But like let's say the new name is probably either the number 8 on that. His name is Cody Gakpo. Or the number 12, Noah Lang. They're the two that a lot of Spurs fans who are watching this maybe don't know much about them. They might be the options off the bench to come in and do something different, because Cody Gakpo will leave the Dutch league next summer. I've no doubt about that. So it's a weird, like, they're not as talented as the English squad. I don't think that, but I have a feeling that they might do quite well, because Van Gaal, even if he is defensive, he usually gets good results with the Dutch.
Yeah, and Musa, just lastly on these, with a little bit of a Spurs twist, Denzel Dumfries?
Yep.
Guy's been linked with Spurs from Inter Milan. Any thoughts on him?
I actually started closely following the Italian league because my friend is a Milan supporter, and I watch every game I can. So weirdly enough, I was following Inter because Dzeko plays for them, and Denzel Dumfries was amazing player, amazing right back, and I think he could suit well with Conte's system, and I think far better than Emerson Royale for sure.
Wow,
in terms of being, more up there, offensive rather than defensive.
Stop there, Musa. Don't say any more.
Yeah, so I think
everybody,
well,
if he's better than Emerson Royale, we're all happy.
I just want us to, say a word. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, Musa, please go.
No, you carry on. I cut you into. Okay. I cut into what you were saying.
Yeah. So Denzel Dumfries. Do you know how I know that the Netherlands were in the last Euros? Because I first heard about him in that Euros. Denzel Dumfries. He was amazing. So someone wrote just now Holland, Czech Republic, something in the comments. Thank you, David. That's the first time I heard of. That's the first time I heard about Denzel Dumfries. So he could suit well in the as the right back. Especially we have Destiny Udogie coming on the summer from Udinese.
Yeah.
So him as a left back or left offensive on the left side, and Denzel on the right side could be good. But I don't know. Is that going to be doable? Is Inzaghi going to let him go? I don't know. But I wish he could get to Spurs for sure.
And right then, so that's the last team in Group A. We're going to go quick fire. HG first and second.
I think the Dutch will top the group, but they won't do it easily. And I suspect that Qatar will somehow sneak it through and be second. I really do think that's not likely, but I would not be surprised.
Okay, Musa, first and second, Group A.
I still think that the Netherlands will be first, and Senegal could closely be, and they could like be very close to being to second and third, and Senegal could
We're having a few technical difficulties, I think, with Musa. So we'll me HG. Should we carry on? And let Musa sort his connection out.
It's fine.
Yeah,
we'll just go on.
So now HG, because obviously we're saving groups. We're going alternate because we're going to have some guests on Friday night who have got a horse in the race in the other group. So we're going to move on to Group C now. So looking at that group, obviously Saudi Arabia, Newcastle fans will be interested in that, but that looks quite an interesting group. HG,
it does. Argentina versus Mexico seems weird because you feel they're going to be the same region, but they're obviously not. It's always good to see. Will the successful team make it through like you expect, and then what happens after that? It's a big free for all for the second spot usually. So I'm excited. Not so much about Argentina versus Saudi Arabia, but some of the other games excite me a bit more.
Musa, anything on that group? Anything that excites you? Anything that makes you think, I ain't bothered about that?
I always actually cheer for Mexico, especially after in the last World Cup when they defeated Germany. I always loved to watch Mexico play. Ever since actually when the Chicharito was discovered, when Ferguson discovered him, wherever he found him, I always found Mexico interesting. I love their forward who's playing for Wolves, Raul Jimenez. He is amazing. So whoever plays for Mexico, doesn't matter, I'm going to cheer for them. So that's what makes this group most interesting for me. Mexico side. Go Viva Mexico.
So first sets of squads up, we've got Mexico and Poland. So we'll talk about both of them. We'll talk about players from both of them. Obviously, Lewandowski is the big name out of both of those teams, I think. But so if we talk about Poland and Mexico at the same time, because we've got the squads up, HG, what out of these two then? Who do you think's we'll probably say Argentina are favourites to progress.
Yeah.
Then you're probably looking at these two. Who do you think's the stronger team?
Probably Mexico, if I'm honest. I look at that Polish side, a lot of the players we know because they played in England at some point. But Lewandowski is world class. They've got the defender Zalewski who plays in Italy. He's pretty good, but the rest of them are decent. I mean, obviously Szczesny plays for Juventus, and we know too much about him. But they've got 4 or 5 players that you think, okay, that they will work. But can they find a team that functions around Lewandowski? If they can get the ball to Lewandowski in and around the box, he will score them goals. That's the big thing for them. So, players like Krychowiak has been playing for Poland for a very long time. Grosicki is in his mid-30s. They've got a number of players there that have been to tournaments and done okay. But I don't look at them and think wow. Whereas the Mexican side, Matty Cash obviously, but the Mexican side again, we know more players than we think we do. We've got Alvarez who plays at Ajax. We've seen him play. Lozano's at Napoli. Obviously Jimenez at Wolves. We know that there's a bunch of players there. But again, it's kind of on the day what's going to happen. When Poland play Mexico, Mexico could win 3-0 and be surprised at either result. It's just they're very, very level to me.
Musa?
Well, I would also like to mention the guy from Napoli, Piotr Zielinski. He is, as you know, Napoli is playing amazing football this season. Still undefeated, still top of the Italian league. So he's been a crucial part in Napoli team. So I think he will also play good in this World Cup. So I also would like to follow him a bit.
So what sort of role, Musa? Sorry, what Zelensky then, Musa? What type of player are we looking at? What does he offer? What's his strengths?
He can play. I think that the what I saw when I watched Napoli games, he can play the entire offensive midfield positions. He can play as a winger, and he can play as a second striker behind Osimhen. He can play. He can play as an attacking midfielder. He's quick. He's creative. He can score bangers. So pretty much a good. And if I was a manager and playing against Zielinski, I will be very afraid, and I will be worrying how to stop him because this season entire Napoli team is playing amazingly, but their individuals are also equally amazing as their entire team. So I would follow Zielinski and see, if I was an opposing manager, I would also, besides trying to stop Lewandowski, I will also try to figure it out how to stop this guy as well.
Excellent. So, other two teams, obviously, Argentina, more household names that most of us will know, and the Saudis. I'll go to you first, HG, about Saudi Arabia. Do you have any clue about any of their players?
No, I don't. I mean, I've lost all interest in watching Al Hilal recently because they win it so much. I know nothing about Saudi Arabia. But like as I said before, there's something fun in that. Like, was it 94 when the Saudi guy ran the length of the field against Belgium and scored, and we all thought, what the heck? Like, they can do this? They're going to have some decent players. And yeah, like you can't take it for granted when you play them. But yeah, I don't know a great deal about Saudi Arabia.
No, I mean, I think Musa, the only person I know involved in the Saudi Arabia squad is the manager, Renard, is it?
Yeah, I think he won the African Cup with Zambia. Imagine Zambia. He won the African Cup with them. I think he was the guy who won the African Cup of Nations. So. I don't know these players from the Saudi Arabia side. Just like Qatar, they are also every single player is from their domestic league. So I don't know if some of them sometimes played in Europe at some point. But like he said, I don't think you should just go and say they're basic outsiders. You never know. It's a World Cup, and actually playing closer to home than every single one of their teams in the group. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't give them that much chance, that many chances to go through, but we'll see. If they surprise, they'll be. Yeah.
So Phil, is that true about Hervé Renard used to manage Cambridge United? That is probably my favourite stat that I've learned, favourite fact that I've learned. Please let that be true, that he used to manage Cambridge United. Who knows when that was? Could have been the 1980s. But that is a brilliant fact, Phil. Thanks for that one.
He is just one of those blokes that if you've been watching, I'm in my mid-40s now and I've been watching World Cups for a while. Like Phil's put down, he's managed about 50 countries. You always see him at a World Cup managing. You just recognise. I saw a picture of him and I recognised his face, but I didn't have a clue who he was. But he's always managing someone in a World Cup. But and then obviously on to Argentina, the team where they've got 99.9% of their players fit. The only one not really fit's Romero, but that's a different story. But so Argentina, favourites to win the group. I fancy them to win the tournament for some reason. I don't know why. I've just got a little fancy for them. Musa, what do you think of the Argentina squad?
Well, they're obviously super strong. Although Messi is not getting any younger, he's still on top of his game. Ever since he started playing for PSG, the manager were using him as a 10, and he was not really like an attacker. If you watch PSG games, closely, but I think that position suits him, and he's playing amazingly that position. So. He will lead them, and the reason you might want to fancy them to win the World Cup is because we see those reports that this might be Messi's last World Cup. You somehow want you to for him to win it at his last World Cup. It's going to be romantic or something. But regardless of that if you look at their squad, they're definitely one of the favorites to win the entire tournament, and only this group. Regardless of the fact this is going to be Messi's last World Cup, so it's now or never. So, regardless of that, I think they did amazing squad. As he mentioned, 99% of their players are fit. So they're ready to go, and the ambition is high. Their coach Lionel Scaloni. I forgot what's the stat for them being unbeaten. How long they were not beaten in a competitive game. I think like for 3 years now or so. Is that true? Can someone maybe confirm? Because Argentina is
I think they have. I think they have been. They have had a large period of time where they haven't been beaten. So they played Italy at Wembley, didn't they? HG, and beat them quite convincingly recently.
Yeah, but it's got a special name, that game, but I always forget what it is when they get the. What is it?
Finalissima. That's how.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that Argentina squad, like 4 years ago, I wanted Messi to win it. Like, I want Messi to win it before he finishes. This may be the last chance. But 4 years ago, there were players in that Argentina team, and I'm like, I'm sorry, who? Like, the goalkeeper I'd never heard of, and a couple of the defenders I weren't too sure of. But this side, I mean, like, I've seen all of those players play at certain points. Even if it's the Villa goalkeeper who starts, he's light years better than Armani, the one that was there 4 years ago. Like, they won't have a better chance to win it all with that squad. They've got players that can do a little bit of everything. If you want, Papu Gomez to come off or Dybala to come off the bench and maybe get you a goal, they can do it. Di Maria has shown over his career he's a big game player, and the defense looks solid. Like, I mean, I wouldn't play Otamendi, and I think they might, but when you've got Romero and Lisandro Martinez, and I mean, even Juan Foyt has been a very good defender for Villarreal. But it's like England, I think, would swap their squad for this one. It's an extremely good squad. So, yeah, we want to. We don't want to play Argentina until the final, right?
No. So basically, then that group, I'll come to you first, Musa. Who do you fancy to go through first and second in that group?
I think Argentina first, and Mexico again. I think they would surpass Poland, because Poland, as I mentioned, they do have Lewandowski, they do have Zielinski, and some other players that are pretty good. But I would also like to mention their manager that make them go through the playoffs in qualification actually left before the final game. So they have a manager that only managed them like for 1 or 2 games in total. He managed to win. I think it was against Sweden or something. I'm not sure. The last game of the playoffs, and he won. So he does not have experience of leading the World Cup team. He was only managing the Polish teams, I think. Not sure. So I think that their manager, with all due respect to him, is not good enough to use the potential of this team to make them go through. So just because of that, I think Mexico is going to finish second.
Okay, and HG.
No, I agree with that. I really do. Poland have a tendency to disappoint, I think, when they get to major tournaments. I don't really remember them getting to the last 16s too much. And so I would think Argentina, Mexico, that they will be the two to go through.
Yeah. I think Argentina will progress, and then I'll go with you two guys, the more knowledgeable people here. If you think Mexico are going to do it, I'll make the full house. So there you go. That's that 2 through in there. So this looks like so now Group B. This looks like an interesting group. I think that obviously on our graphic we've not got a team in there. It was from a playoff, but is that Costa Rica, HG?
Yeah, it is Costa Rica. Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean that to me looks like an exciting group. Whenever I've watched Japan play in these tournaments, they've always had a go, tried to play decent football, and obviously Germany, Spain, 2 big teams. And Costa Rica, obviously them playing a few tournaments. I don't really know any of their players, but I mean that looks like it could be a decent group. Musa?
I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, Germany and Spain are obviously favorites to go first, but you never know with when you have a group set up like this, when you have a clear favorite, 2 favorites, when you have 2 teams that are not really favorites but good teams nevertheless. I think every dropped point could matter for outsiders, and could be like a nightmare for favorites of the group. So with Germany and Spain being favorites, uh, they're playing against each other in the second game. I think in the match day two, I think that it will be better to play against each other either first or the match day three. But with them playing against each other in the match day two, it's going to be very interesting. That could be a make or break, especially if they drop points in the match day one. So it could be interesting, and I think at some point very unpredictable. Everybody maybe expect Germany and Spain to go through as number one and two, but I don't think it's going to be that easy for them.
No. So, HG, I said Costa Rica, I didn't know any of their players, but now looking at their squad, Kayla Navas, know him. Joel Campbell, did he play? Brian Ruiz.
Oh, yeah.
So there are a few names there, that I sort of know and other people will know. When you look at these two squads, Japan and Costa Rica, like when you look at the squad, you'd say Spain and Germany were the two stronger teams. So you're looking at what we'd say the two weaker teams out of the four. Do you know anything about those squads?
I mean,
those for us?
You talked about having two strong teams and two, like smaller but still good teams. Like it's like England's group in 2014, when it was England and Italy and Uruguay and Costa Rica. And in the end, England and Italy both went out, and Uruguay and Costa Rica were the two that went through. Like I think that Japanese squad is actually pretty good, probably the best Japanese squad we've ever seen. And yet they will do very, very well to get out of the group. They got probably the toughest draw you could imagine. So like you can't go past Spain and Germany, but I know from my German friends that they've got some really good players, but they haven't really figured out what to do. And Felix won a lot at Bayern. Yeah, you just don't know. Like the first game, I can't remember who the Germans have got first game. But if they don't get a result in that first game, they will be nervous. If they don't get the 3 points, they will be nervous going into the Spain game. So
I'll get the German squad up. You obviously, there you go, HG. When you look at that, then that's your German squad.
Yeah, that's the German squad. So it's weird like that, but the goalkeepers we know Neuer's going to play. But when it comes to defence, they are names that most people have heard of. But is it going to be a back three? Is it going to be a back four? Back three? You don't really have any wing backs. Are you going to have to play a fast kind of attacking midfielder as a wing back if you do that? I think there's lots of questions about that German squad. I think they've got good enough players that as individuals they can win those games against Costa Rica and Japan. But yeah, I know that most Germans love Musiala. I think Musiala is going to be the next superstar. Whenever I've watched him play, I see that too. So if they get him in the side, which they probably will, well, who do they build around that? Because you might have Sané on one side and Gnabry on the other, but the midfielders, you've probably got to get in there. It's about building a functional side for the Germans. See in the comments that they played Oman today and only won by a goal to nil. You just don't know really what this German side can do. And they could go on and win the whole tournament, or they could kind of have another Euros where they get beaten in the first knockout game and you never think about them again. So yeah, it's going to be a fun group to watch, because I think everyone will say Spain and Germany guaranteed. But that Spanish side, they're a massive hole in it. Like the strikers for them, it could be anything. It's weird to say that because we all know the Germans will get there eventually somehow. But in Russia, they didn't do too well. I don't see anything in this side different from the what happened to them in Russia.
Guys, sorry, we're getting some noise. We're getting some messages about noise. So when I'm talking to you two at the moment, are you getting a lot of feedback or a lot of?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So what I'll do is look, if you two can just go on talking about the squad HG. Can you see the slides in front of you? I'll just
no, sorry, Gibbo, I figured it out. I know where the background noise is coming from, so
Okay.
we can. I think we can sort that now. But yeah, do you want to go to the next slide, Gibbo, and we'll talk about
Sorry about that, guys. So we'll go. What we'll go is Musa, Spain squad.
Yeah, as HG mentioned, it was weird when he announced the squad and there was no David De Gea in it. So that's something that's bugging me actually ever since he announced the squad. So I think he might have some sort of game plan with these players he called up. So we should never write off Luis Enrique and his abilities. So something he's obviously planning something. Will that work? We'll see. But this is far from being like the strongest Spain squad we've ever seen. Like they're not really, but they could still surprise. They have young talents there. They have players that can really surprise people. And but I do not see them finishing first in the group precisely because of this experiment Luis Enrique is doing. That's what I think. I might be wrong. I don't know, but like AG said, it's going to be a fun group to see and to see how exactly Spain will prepare themselves. On the side note, I read something on Facebook. I don't know is this true, but apparently Luis Enrique said he'll go and stream on Twitch whatever happens in the Spain squad, maybe the training or whatever. He's going to stream it on Twitch. I don't know. Did you hear about this? And I don't know. Is it maybe like a joke or something? I don't know. But I heard about that. I heard about that. It's like weird. So weird.
So, yeah, no, I definitely heard about it, Musa, and I think it's probably true. I don't know how you would do that or why you would do that, but I did hear that Luis Enrique, will be on Twitch at various moments in the World Cup.
I mean, what is Twitch? What is that?
Ask your children, Gibbo.
I'll ask my kids later. I'll tell you what. I've found quite interesting by just looking at this squad. The keepers. Raya Sanchez, which is the number one there? Then I'll take it because he's at the top. Is it Simon?
Yeah. Unai Simon is the number one, and I think will be the number one no matter what. I don't see the other two. I think Sanchez might be the two, but Simon, unless he gets injured, will play every minute, no doubt about that.
Because obviously, from a Spurs perspective here, just obviously. We've got Lloris, but when I've heard Sanchez and Raya's name mentioned of possible replacements for Lloris when we do move him on, what are your thoughts on? What are your two thoughts on those two possibly being the next Spurs keeper?
Okay, Musa, you go first.
If you want to, really doesn't matter. But I don't know about these two. They're playing obviously pretty good now. Brentford could play better. Brighton, obviously, a sensation. Can they replace Ugo? Can they really, be a world-class keepers? I don't think they're now the thing that we need. But can they do that in the future? We'll see, I guess. I don't know. But if you ask me, I think they're a crucial part of their teams. Can they move it to the next level? Not right now, I think. I think Spurs should go and find some other options. If you ask me, right. I'm not with them, with these two.
I think it's weird that you go to the German slide again. Like they've got a keeper, Kevin Trapp. My friend Ryan is going to hate me saying this. Kevin Trapp is only a couple of years younger than Lloris, but if Lloris was to go, Kevin Trapp is a fantastic goalkeeper. And all the female fans would be sad to see Lloris leave. Kevin Trapp is a higher level than Lloris, so even on that level, it would be a short-term move. There's no doubt about it. He won't be the goalkeeper for the next 10 years. But are we looking for someone who's going to be there for 10 years, or would 3 or 4 be enough? That's the question. So, but I think Kevin Trapp is a good goalie, and
where's he playing, HG?
He plays at Eintracht Frankfurt,
Yeah.
and he was at PSG for a couple of years, and was never really first choice there, and so went back to Frankfurt. And he's obviously won the Europa League with them last season. He's in the German squad every time, and he played against us, obviously in the Champions League. And he's a good, solid goalkeeper. There's nothing super flashy about him, and he's not the biggest, but he's a solid goalkeeper, and that may well be somewhere that Spurs might be looking. But if they do want someone for the next 10 years, they won't go there at all.
Well, but you say that, but obviously with Conte, do we look at the next 10 years, or do we just look at getting another really good keeper in for as long as he'll last? And then eventually, if you come round to that keeper for the next 10 years, that's what you do. But, I think just saying whatever we do, we need a keeper for the next 10 years, that might not be the way forward. What do you think, Musa?
We need the best keeper we can get hold of. And obviously those two Spanish keepers are useful because they both count as homegrown.
Yeah.
Right. So David Raya was at Blackburn before he went to Brentford, and Sanchez has been at Brighton for a long time. Like, that helps. But
yeah.
I've never watched either of them in the Premier League and thought, yes, that's where we need to be going. And that's also true about Pickford. I don't really feel that about Pickford either. So it could happen, but I'd hope. I say this often about goalkeepers. Like, Spurs are a massive club, right? Top 10 club in the world. And if that job comes open to a lot of goalkeepers, they're going to want to come and play for Spurs. And it's not just about finance and about, trophy winning and all the rest of it. Like, it's a chance to really compete with the very best. And so to get someone, again, it's not to disparage Brentford or Brighton, but I think that Spurs will be looking at players who play at bigger clubs.
Fair enough. Musa, agree with HG?
I agree with him with his choice of the keeper that's going to replace Hugo, and it makes sense when he said if we are looking for a longer option, like a 10 years or something, Trapp is not a good option for that. But for a few years, I think he is a better option, precisely, and I think only because of his experience. I think he is. Talented, or even maybe more talented than Sanchez and Raya, but in terms of experience and I'd say only experience, he's a better option than those two. I would still prefer if Spurs find a longer option, 10 years as HG said. I would prefer that, but if there's no keeper available for a longer run, then why not purchase someone who is experienced, quality goalkeeper for a few years, and rather than to gamble with someone that never played on a top level. Trapp did play on a top level, so pretty much I agree with what AG said.
Yeah, well, we better move on because Nick is in a twist here. So basically, then I will stay with you, Musa. Who's going through first and second in that group?
Well, I give my chances to Germany because their manager Hansi Flick won a Champions League with Bayern Munich without every game. He won every game. It was during that COVID season where knockout games were played only one game, but still he managed to win every single game. He's a quality coach, and he did not impress me that much in that UEFA Nations League, but that was not really an important competition, I think, for him. But he's a quality coach, and I think Germany will go through, and Spain could go second, just because I don't think that Costa Rica and Japan have what it takes to finish second or even first. So Spain are, I think, lucky that they got these kind of opponents, and they will finish second just because their opponents are not strong enough.
Okay, HG.
It's tough. It is actually really tough, this one, because I don't know enough about Costa Rica. But that Japanese squad is good. And I think if there's an 11 there, they are the surprise team that can do it. But yeah, in a one-off game, I'd bet more money on it. But over 3 games, you'd think that somehow the 2 big teams would do enough to go through. So I would probably say Spain first, Germany second, because I think it's going to come down to something like goals scored or goal difference. and I don't know. Yeah, like neither one of those sides gives me much confidence in front of goal.
Do we know when Germany and Spain play each other?
It'll be 4 days from Wednesday, so maybe next Sunday.
So it's the second game. They play each other second game.
Yeah. It is the second
Okay,
game. So it's I don't know. But
who are you going 1 and 2 then, HG? Come on.
Really, do I have to?
Yeah.
I will say Spain first, Germany second, but very, very close. Like it'll be on goals scored or something silly like that.
Okay. And then Group G. Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon. Now, I think the man to come to about this group, first of all, and to give us a little heads up on Serbia, will be Musa.
As I mentioned before we started the show, I'm going to be supporting Serbia because I think this is a very strong team that they have, especially if you look who's leading them in the attack. You have Aleksandar Mitrovic, you have a Juventus player Dusan Vlahovic, who is probably, if not my most favorite attacker in the world right now. I just love how he played. He's strong, explosive, talented, creative, deadly left foot. So I think Serbia has a good chances to go through. The first match they're playing is against Brazil, so that's going to be a very important game for them. But they should be favorites against other teams in the group. So Serbia could, if they are focused enough for whatever they do that they need, they should go actually far because they have a good team this year, and yeah, that's what I expect of them.
We don't want that. So we've had a question here. Is Mitrovic going to be fit? Is he going to be fit, Musa?
I actually don't know that info. I didn't see him, not even on the bench when in the last game against United. So I did not see any reports from Serbian news portals that they're gonna mention anything about him not being fit. They are. I think he's gonna be fit. Maybe in the first game, not exactly for the first 45 minutes, but I don't think the Serbia fans should be unhappy about it. They have Dusan Vlahovic. He's just amazing, different type of attacking player next to Mitrovic. But yeah, maybe they will not employ him for the full game against Brazil, but they will definitely could use him in the set two games after a game against Brazil. So yeah, I think he's going to be fit and he's going to be useful and he could do well and help his team in this World Cup.
I mean, Jovic is no slouch either, is he?
He plays for Fiorentina. He actually had that stint, if you know that, in Real Madrid, and he wasn't really, in the first team. But he's playing good for Fiorentina. He's scoring goals. He's helping them go through, and he's also pretty good. And there's also Juventus player Dusan Kostic. He was playing in Eintracht last season. He won the Europa League with them, and he's also a good winger. You have him as well. So, like I said, also other players are pretty good for Serbia. I can't really see there the screen, the name of the squad doesn't seem big. I can't read, but their keeper, he plays for Torino. Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, he's an amazing keeper. So I don't know is he gonna be the first choice, but he's a good backup keeper if not something else. And also you have his brother Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. Juventus is begging Lazio to sell him to them, but he's an incredibly creative midfielder. He can play box to box. He can score goals from any position. I think he's also a good free kick taker. Not sure, but everywhere you go and look, you see a talent in the Serbia squad. So they should be passing this group. Not easily, but I think comfortably enough.
Yeah, I mean, I look at those now, and the more you're going through those players, I recognise some of those names, and I've seen some of them play, and they look a decent squad. I mean, what do you think, HG? And obviously, with you, if you just give your opinion on Serbia, and moving on to the Switzerland squad as well, what do you see between those two?
I think when it comes to Serbia, I mean, Musa said they're playing Brazil first game. I know exactly how that game is going to go. Brazil will score early. Serbia will equalise and be the better side for most of the game. And then in the last 10 minutes, Brazil will score another one. And they'll win 2-1. And it will be one of those games you're just like, oh, really? Serbia deserve much better. But I can almost see that in my brain. That's what's going to happen. Because Brazil seem to do that quite often. They don't play well to begin with, but they get the result. I just get that. I mean, I'm a massive fan of Jovic because I watched him play at Frankfurt a lot. The Real move wasn't right, as Rainer says in the comments. But yeah, for Serbia, again, they've got some very good players, but this is the same set of players that lost on penalties to Scotland at home in the playoffs for the last Euro. So you never really know what you're going to get. I just hope that they play their best because they do have some fantastic players. As for Switzerland, they are they're the side that you don't think much of, and then they go and get a result against Italy and they knock them out of the World Cup, and they go and beat France in the last Euros. On their day, they can beat anyone, but you look at that and you just think, you look at their squad and you think average, right? Yeah. It's very much a team that is bigger than the sum of its parts. So I hope Serbia go through instead of Switzerland, because I feel
Switzerland
like I've seen
got Granit Xhaka, haven't they? So
they do, and I feel like I've seen enough of Switzerland. That sounds awful. I want to see something a bit different. Serbia is different. Cameroon would be different. Switzerland just feels like that team that will always give you a 6.5 out of 10, but not often enough will they give you a 9. And I want to see lots of teams that play, really, really well.
Any Switzerland players that you think are decent players, though, HG, that we should be looking out for?
Maybe one of the defenders, Elvedi, is pretty good, but he's older than I remember him to be. I think he's 26 now. I don't look at them and think, yes, that there's someone that I would like to see at Spurs. The goalkeeper, Jan Sommer, he's actually a pretty good goalie. I've always liked him. He played well against us for Basel all those years ago, and he's been at Gladbach a long time, so he might be looking to go somewhere else. But again, that Switzerland team seems to me full of 6s and 7s and not enough 9s, and Spurs are looking for 9s now.
I mean, I think if you look at that, is Seferovic their main striker, Musa? Switzerland?
Well, he was for cup, last World Cup and maybe the Euros, if they play, I can't remember. But this Monaco attacker, Embolo, he's just playing pretty good, and Seferovic, I don't think he has a good form, but he's a class for sure. So I would either say Embolo or Seferovic. I don't see that much difference in terms of quality between two of those. They have Seferovic experience on one end, and they have Embolo. It's not really that young, 25, but also pretty good. So, but as HG said, it's full of 6s and 7s in Switzerland's team. So I don't see them going through. It's just average, as he said.
Now, are we looking at these are the two? So obviously you said Serbia. So obviously Brazil, arguably favourites to go through. Cameroon, before we go on to the Brazil squad, what do we think of those, HG?
I mean, again, that Cameroon side, obviously we all know Georges Kevin Nkudu is there, that Cameroon team. There's a whole bunch of players that we know, that we've seen play. The old Fulham player, Zambo Anguissa, is there. He's at Napoli now. I love the goalkeeper, who hopefully goes by the name Simon, because I have no idea how to pronounce that one. But yeah, Choupo-Moting is no, I don't. Weirdly, I don't know how to say that. Choupo-Moting is at Bayern Munich now and scoring goals off the bench and being useful. Umbuemo obviously plays for Brentford. Toko Akambi, I think, is he still at Villa? I don't know. But there's a bunch of players there that we all know, but I don't think they have enough to do what they need to do. Like Brazil always go through as group winners. Even if they don't play well, they find a way to finish first. So that's going to happen. And I hope that it's going to be either Serbia or Cameroon to go through, but I think it would be Serbia as second.
Musa, Cameroon squad. Anything? Do you know anything about them? Got any little bits of info you can pass on?
Well, I can only say, actually add to what AG said about Toko Ekambi. He's also had a good start of the season. He's actually in Lyon, in France. Now, Lyon. I've watched Lyon a couple of games, and it's a good team. Toko Ekambi is a good attacker, but they do lack some of the qualities in the midfield. So Choupo-Moting is amazing. Toko Ekambi is good enough to be there. And there's also Belmo, as HG mentioned, but they do lack a midfield that's going to be crucial there, because they're playing against sides that they need a midfield to counter the other teams. So as he said, as AG said, I don't see them not even finishing third, to be honest. But I would not be that much surprised if they win against someone. If they win and if they win like comfortably or dominantly, I would not be that much surprised. But I don't see it happening, to be honest.
So I mean, we're looking at that. We sort of wrote Cameroon off. Don't really want Switzerland to go through, so we're hoping Serbia can go through, and it'll probably be in second place. And we'll get on to Brazil now. When you look at that squad. Wow, there's some really good players in that squad, isn't there? That Brazil squad, HG.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, again, it's about finding which 11 works best. You look at their front line, like Richarlison seems to be the only real centre forward there. Like Vinicius, Gabriel. I mean, Gabriel Jesus obviously does it for Arsenal, but like a traditional centre forward, it's Richarlison. Everyone else is more of a winger / striker. But, Casemiro, Bruno Guimaraes, like we know how good they are from the Premier League. Fabinho's been at Liverpool for 5-6 years now. Again, they have it's weird. Like they have a strong 11, but crucially, they have options off the bench that can come on and change the game. And I feel like that's such a massive thing in a World Cup. You need, like, if your front line isn't working, you need to have 3, 4, maybe even 5 options where you think they can come on and do something different. And that Brazilian forward line, I've not even mentioned Neymar, right? I mean, but that Brazilian, it's incredible. So they should go far, but they always have one game where you think, is it? They're going to wobble a little bit. So I just like, are we looking at a Brazil versus Argentina final? I mean, that would be some event. But they've got a lot of good players. I mean, their fullbacks. I don't think too much of Alex Telles, and Dani Alves is almost 40 now.
Yeah,
but they're experienced players. Thiago Silva, Dani Alves have been 2-3 World Cups already. They will know what to do, and it's really about. To me, I think it's getting that front line clicking. If they can do that, they'll do very, very well.
I mean, you look at that squad: Alisson, Ederson, 2 of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. Going through that defence, Marquinhos, quality. Militao, Silva might be old but decent. Bremer, we were linked with him. I've not really seen any of him this season, but he was highly thought of. Telles, like I said, Danilo, Sandro is half decent. Dani Alves still doing a job. Must be to get in that squad. Midfield, look, Casemiro, Fabinho, Guimaraes, Paqueta. Paqueta, he's in there as a midfielder. I thought he was like more of an attacking player, sort of like a number 10 type player. And then you go through those forwards, just on a slight tangent, I see Richarlison was 28-1 to be top goal scorer. Now, whether you bet or not, I said to my mates at work, like, he's been scoring goals for Brazil in their last few games. You know, he could. I think if he plays every game, he could come away with the golden boot. What do you think, Musa? Any chance or not?
Richarlison for a golden boot. I don't know. I actually do not know how on earth Richarlison didn't score yet for Tottenham in the Premier League, because he was close to being a scorer, but obviously an injury was a setback. But for him to have a golden boot, I think that's kind of ambitious, especially because you have other players in Brazil's squad that can help with goal scoring as well. You have Neymar, who's going to probably be with penalty taker and a free kick taker as well. You have wingers who can score and dribble, and they could be a goal scorer. So Richarlison, HG said he's he looks like the closest to classic number 9, but Richie could be used in other positions as well. So I see him being useful in other parts of the game if he plays a lot in the World Cup. I see him I see him doing assists. I see him doing crucial passes. I see him doing crucial headers, and I don't see him really as winning a golden boot. I don't know. Seems like not because he's not going to perform. I think he's a good team player, and he's probably going to help his team in other ways. He's not like a Crouch, who's only number 9 and nothing else. He can play. He can be useful in other positions as well.
What do you think, HG? Richarlison, possible golden boot winner? Am I talking a load of rubbish, or is there a chance?
I think if you're looking for, I guess they don't do each way bets for top goal scorer. But
there is, HG. I think it's top 4, quarter of the odds. So it's like 7 to 1.
It's not a bad decision. I mean, like you're either going to find someone like Kane, who is like the goal scorer / penalty taker / whatever, corner kick taker, whatever he's done for England over the years. But it's like someone. I don't know who's favourites, but I think you're looking for a team that maybe has an easy-ish opening group and a striker that has scored a lot of goals for that team. Koff, Lukaku, Koff. That might be somewhere I'd go. But 28 to 1, you'd expect Brazil to get to at least the semi-finals, and if they do that, they play 7 games too, because they have the 3rd, 4th place playoff. So it's not a bad one.
No, I mean, I'm thinking, regardless of the betting, I'm looking at Richarlison, and people are saying he's going to be their starting number 9. I think in their recent games, I think he's had a decent goal scoring record for Brazil. So, I know he hasn't been scoring for Spurs, but it's different. He's going away with his country somewhere where he has been doing well, and he's playing in his preferred position, because he hasn't really done that for Spurs, has he?
No,
if we're honest. But I mean, if we're looking at it, can any of us see Brazil not topping that group?
No, they will, like AG said, they'll probably be the first in the group, but not really, deservedly. But if you see the players, you need maybe 70-80% of the effort from the Brazilians to actually win the group. So they have talent, most talent than any of the rest of the group combined. So I think that's what. That's what's going to happen in the Group G.
So basically tonight, then we've gone through 4 of the groups. On our show on Friday, we're going to go through the 4 other groups. So out of all the teams we spoke about tonight and all the players, HG, what group are you looking forward to watching, or is there any team you're looking forward to watching out of the ones we spoke about tonight? What are you? Out of what we spoke about tonight, what's your thinking about out of all those teams?
I definitely want to watch Argentina, because I think they have some extremely good players, and you want to see those players play well and perform. I'm interested in Group A because there's no standout. As much as the Dutch are the biggest team, I don't think there's a massive team in that group, and it could go any way. So yeah, probably, even though Germany, Spain is two big names, I think that's going to be a cagey game and maybe not something that I really want to watch. So if you're going to ask me, it'd be Argentina and then probably Group A, because Group A really could go. You could have games that finish 5-3, and I wouldn't be surprised.
That'd be good. Musa, what about same question to you?
Well, actually can't really choose. I'm gonna try to watch every single group with the same amount of attention. But if I have to choose, then my neighbor Serbia in Group G. They also were in 2018. They were pretty much almost the same group. They were with Switzerland and Brazil in the group. So I'm looking forward to them to beat their last performance. So if I have to choose, then Group G. Uh, because my other neighbors, Croatia, are playing in another group, and they have it easier a little bit. I think slightly easier than Serbia. So I'm not gonna be focused that much on Croatia because I think they will do well. But Serbia, I'll be supporting more than any other team.
And Musa, are there any teams, like obviously we've gone through the big teams, we've gone through who we think will go through the groups. Is there any of those teams that you think could cause a shock? Any teams that have ones we spoke about tonight who you think could come out of a group which nobody thinks they will?
Well, I mentioned how Spain is going to be second because their opponents, except Germany, are not strong enough. But I could see, say, Japan being second and cause the shock. Because let's be honest, that's gonna be a shock if Spain did not go to the last 16 and say Japan does. So I think if you're looking for a shocker, Japan could be one of those. Because HG mentioned that Serbia, if they go second, if they go to the last 16, that's not going to be a shock, not really. But Japan, with the group they have, that could be a shock.
HG, you going to go, from what you were saying earlier, I got a feeling you're going to go with Japan as your possible sort of like a team that could cause a shock. Am I right, or have you got someone else in mind?
I mean, for similar reasons as what Musa just said, but I think Qatar would be a shock. None of us know anything about them really. So they won the Asian Cup, I think we just said a few years ago.
Yeah.
None of us watched that. We don't know anything about that. But yeah, so that would be a shock. I mean, again, we don't know too much about Senegal or Ecuador really, but Qatar will be seen as the whipping boys of any group they're in. And I have a sneaking suspicion that they won't be and that they'll somehow make it through. The last thing I want is Qatar versus England, because you know how the English will take that game and it will be like, oh, we're going to waltz it. And that always makes me nervous. But yeah, if you the shock there will be that Qatar make it through. I mean, it could easily be a shock that someone good doesn't, right? That the Dutch could lose 2 games out of 3 and go home in disgrace. There's always one big team that tends to do that. But of the ones we talked about today, I think it's more likely that a smaller team does better as opposed to a big team just flopping completely.
Yeah. So, Musa, obviously, me and HG will be doing these shows throughout the World Cup. When the games start, we'll probably be on most nights talking about the games. And there's a show on Friday where HG will be on. And, I think we've said our bits about who we think. So, obviously, this is your first time on. Hopefully, we'll get you on again at some point. But not just out the teams we spoke about tonight. Who do you want to win the World Cup, and who do you think will win the World Cup?
I'll be honest. I don't know who am I rooting for to win it. If I'm thinking romantically from a perspective of a team that I really wish they won the World Cup once at least, I think the Netherlands. I wish them to win it, although the chances are maybe slim. But it would make me happy if they did, because they deserve it. They had some great players in their history, and somehow they didn't go all the way through. So, but who is gonna win? I think Germany or Argentina could go all the way through and win the entire thing. And I don't know if I should mention France. We didn't talk about them tonight, but
No. Just the whole the tournament in a whole. I just want to know who you think.
I'd say that they're like my third option, but I can't choose between Germany and Argentina to win it all because I know that they're in good form, both teams. They have good managers, both teams. They have good set of players, both individually and as a team, both nations. So either Germany or Argentina, but in my opinion, should or could win this World Cup.
Okay, so I'm not on with you on Friday, HG. Who are you, before we get into the games next week on our shows, who's your shout for winning this World Cup?
Can I give a different answer on Friday when you ask me this question?
Well, you might have changed your mind by then after some friendlies or players dropped out. So
yeah, maybe. I'm just trying to hedge my bets. Look, I remember the semi-finals of 2006 when it was France, Portugal, Italy, and Germany, and as an Englishman was like, oh, I want Italy to win because I just didn't want any of the other three to go anywhere near winning it. That's how it feels with almost every World Cup. I don't want the French to win it again. I don't want the Germans to win it again. I don't want Spain to win it again. Like I want something a bit different. And yeah, like I don't have this hatred for Argentina that maybe has historically existed for England. I kind of, if England can't do it, and I don't think they will, but if England can't do it, the Dutch, because they used to live there, would be fun. But I think Argentina will win it, and I kind of want them to as well. Like I'm very much Team Messi over Ronaldo. I would love that to be just buried once and for all. I think it's Messi's 1000th career game would be the final. I mean, there are just too many things lining up, but I think Argentina would be my choice to win it and who I want to win it.
Yeah. So my choice, obviously, apart from England, same as you, I don't think they will. I want Argentina to win it. But like you're saying about Team Messi, my son obviously wants England to win it. But if they don't, he wants Portugal to win it because of Ronaldo. So he's obviously Team Ronaldo. And I'm a bit like...
Has he got this from his mother? This is what you're saying?
Oh, his mum's definitely Team Ronaldo. But no, like my son plays football and he's got nothing like Ronaldo. But I think my son's attitude is more like Ronaldo's than it would be Messi. But yeah, I mean, he loves Ronaldo, and like on Ronaldo hasn't covered himself in glory as of late, has he? I don't, but Ronaldo's been a great player. But he won the Euros, didn't he? Let's get Messi winning the World Cup.
Being coach, like he could win the Euros when he wasn't playing. I mean, that's the perfect irony about that. Yeah, but like Messi deserves, like to me, as good as Ronaldo is, and he's not just good. Like Ronaldo is an all-time great footballer who's been very, very unfortunate to be at exactly the same time as one of the world's best, the best that I can remember. Like, I don't really remember Maradona. I know the pitches were different and Maradona was a genius. But Messi, he plays football that I never thought was possible. Like, when I watched him play for Barcelona against Spurs, it was like he was playing a different sport
to everybody
else. To everybody else. And so I just, I want Argentina to do well, which is weird. I don't really like saying that, but for him, especially for him, I would like that.
And so, obviously, because I'm English, and what are your thoughts, Musa, on England's chances in the World Cup? Not, you haven't got to say you don't think they'll win it, but where do you think they'll get to? What do you think of the team?
Well, I think at the start of the show we mentioned Southgate, and when you look at the results, he was fourth at his World Cup in Russia. He was second in Euros, so the results are there. Then they're improving actually. So I think he could go as far as semifinals. I think because that's a team that almost the same team that was on the Euros. And they were unfortunate. They were outplayed by Italy in the finals, and the Italians deservedly won the final, I think. But they learned from their mistakes. I expect them to do that, and the Southgate is also have learned from his mistakes or whatnot. So I think the playing into finals, maybe even win it, is not really unrealistic that much. But if you ask me how realistically England can go, I think semifinals is going to be realistic, and also anything below semifinals is probably going to be a disappointment to the fans. I don't know. I'm assuming this because being semi-finalist last World Cup, being a finalist in the Euros, and then lose in the quarterfinals or last 16 is probably going to feel like dropout, especially if you look at the squad and see there's not really nothing much has changed, maybe only improved in terms of the names and the quality players. So semi-finals, I think, is going to be a good thing if England manage to do that.
I mean, yeah, I'm looking at quarterfinals minimum. HG, what do you think?
For England, this is going to sound crazy, right? Like I watched so many tournaments with England as a kid, and there was always a reason why we lost. That wasn't we were the worst team. Whether it was Beckham being sent off and he shouldn't have been, or penalty shootouts, this and or like the fluke goal that went in off Paul Parker's back, so the Germans could take us to penalties. Like, there's always been the golden goal, even though the not the golden goal, the goal that wasn't when Lampard hit the crossbar and it went over the line. Like things like that where like the Germans would have thrashed us that day regardless of that goal, right? But there's always been something for England fans to be like, oh, if only this had been different. All I want, and this is going to sound stupid, I want that if England go out, that they go out fair and square, and that we can say, you know what, we lost to a better team. And that sounds stupid, but I can't do in another 6 months of hand wringing about this. If only this had been different, or this had gone. No, we'll play the way we're going to play with Southgate. We all know what to expect. We all know it's not going to be the most exciting, but we could go to the semis. And once you're in the semis, it really is kind of on the day. But I think for England, quarters is what I expect. And then if they get past the quarters, then we'll have done very well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm hoping that Southgate will sort of like try and not win he doesn't have to win my trust, really, does he? But I still haven't forgiven him for sitting on a 1-0 lead from 5 minutes in the Euros final yet. So I'd like to see a bit of intent, bit of endeavour. None of this, I just don't see. I see in our group, I do not see. We should be looking to win all three of those games and go through, top of the group and really have some momentum. There's no reason why he's got to sit back and do like the negative thing he does. But, I'm looking at if we go through, like you said, the likelihood is going to be Ecuador, Qatar.
As long as we avoid the Dutch, we'll look at that and think it's going to be a winnable last 16 game. After that, you're either going to get probably France or Argentina. Yeah. Whichever side of the draw you're on, you're going to get one of those most likely. Yeah. So I feel like the last two tournaments have been weird because there's been an easy side of the draw or an easier side of the draw and a harder one. And England has been on the good side both times. If that happens again, then anything can happen for England. But I genuinely think that if it falls the way it's supposed to, where you've got England, Holland winning the group, France, Argentina winning the group. Like if you see England versus, what would it be? It'd be England versus France and Holland versus Argentina. They're great quarterfinal matches, but I don't think that England would get past France. I really don't.
I mean, and I think for the World Cup as a whole, I feel for the first time ever that like we're doing this on here. I feel like we're trying to build some excitement for the World Cup rather than the actual excitement as it usually is being there. Do you get that? Do you get where I'm coming from, Musa? Is it because it's the different time of year for us, or is it because, I don't know, because of all the stuff that's happened, surrounding this World Cup, or you don't really care and you're really looking forward to it?
Well, I think I read Hugo Lloris said something about criticizing the World Cup and his controversy. He said Hugo said it's too late to criticize now. Whoever gave the World Cup to Qatar, like I don't know when was it, 10 years ago, whatever. That was the time to criticize it. So they're, Hugo said, they're athletes and they're going to focus on the field. So I pretty much think the same. I'm the fan. I'm gonna focus on the field as well. I'm gonna watch the game, and I feel a little bit anxiety because of the lot of players are injured and couldn't go to World Cup, and World Cup starts like 7 days after the leagues went on pause. So it's kind of, I watch the Spurs players and rooting for them not to get injured, and I want them to play in the World Cup. And this, so whenever World Cups or when they were played on this during the summer, it was amazing. I had something to look forward to, but right now it doesn't feel the same. But it's still the same excitement. It's the World Cup. It's the biggest sporting event probably in the world. So it's the same excitement, but just with a little bit of anxiety following, because the teams are gonna get back home, and in like a few weeks they will start playing the resuming the season. So whoever gets injured, I'll be very mad. And the reason for that is obviously they decided to play the World Cup during the winter. So it feels different, feels a little bit anxious, but excitement is still there. Never felt ever since 2002, my first World Cup.
Okay, HG, for you, final thoughts on the World Cup?
I hated that it's in Qatar. It shouldn't be in Qatar. We all knew, we knew this 10, 12 years ago when they decided it was going to be in Qatar. There's that series on Netflix that's come out in the last few days. I watched all of that. None of it was surprising. We all knew it then. We just didn't have proof, or no one was really looking. But we all knew that. Wait a second, what? Qatar really over Australia? Or it never made any sense. So it's weird that there's no real build-up. Usually the season finishes end of May. You've got maybe 2 weeks, a couple of warm-up games to get used to it. We've had none of that. So it does feel weird, but it's still a World Cup, and I want to see the best players playing football. I want to see who's going to go down in history as having done it. I think that we will always remember that Qatar should never have had it. That's not against Qatar. It's just there were better options. There were better options to develop the game around the world. Qatar never made any sense on any level. And it clearly was only there for one real reason. But I want to see lots of good football. I'm sad that there are games that start here at 11 o'clock in the morning that I just can't watch. 10 o'clock for you. But I looked at those games and thought, well, some of them I'm not that fussed about. Fair enough. Yeah. But still, I would love it that if you're going to have 32 teams in a World Cup, then when you've got the summer, you don't have to fit it all into 4 weeks. Put it over 5. Make it so that people can actually enjoy because it's a festival. It's not just any old tournament. You get to watch fans from when Peru made the last World Cup in Russia. One of my friends here in Vienna was so excited because he's Peruvian and paid a fortune to go to Russia to watch it because it was Peru's first World Cup in I don't know how long, 40 years. That's what a World Cup should be, not this. Last week I was talking about Spurs, and suddenly here I am thinking, wait, England play on Monday, and it's starting right now. That to me is all wrong.
So, look, obviously, that's our first World Cup preview show. We hope the people in it who have been involved in the live chat and who have watched it have enjoyed it. We go again on Friday with the other 4 groups. We've got another couple of new guests on the show. I think we've got Sean from Canada. Have we got Cameron from Australia, HG?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And I'm not sure if we've got anyone else on, but we're going to try and have new shows, but I think new guests on our shows, but we're going to probably put something out every day to review the games. Hopefully Musa may be back on to come on and review some games with us. They're going to be shorter, sharper shows. We just want to gauge some interest in the World Cup and get you guys, to come on and give your opinions on the games. Even if we can't watch all of them, we'll watch the highlights, won't we, and just discuss those, but just have a little bit of chat, a little bit of banter. So I'd just like to thank Musa for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed it, Musa. You've been a good guest.
Thank you for inviting me. It was amazing. I love talking about football. I could do it for hours, way longer than this. I enjoyed it. Thank you again for inviting me.
Absolutely no problem. And as always, HG, thanks for coming on. Looking forward to Friday, talking about England.
Yeah, I mean, no, like I want to talk about the other teams, but yes, I'm looking forward to the show. It's the World Cup, it's football. These are the two things I care about. Friday night will be amazing. And then we start on Sunday. Like even the opening ceremony, I'm kind of excited for. And usually I don't care about that at all. But this just, like it doesn't happen very often. And even though we haven't missed one because of COVID, like it's 4.5 years since the last World Cup. And so I'm excited that it's only 3.5 till the next one. But still, like, it's I love football. More than anything else, I love football.
Yeah, so thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for getting involved. Apologise for the technical issues earlier in the show. I hope it didn't spoil your enjoyment of it, but thanks for letting us know so we could sort it out. And I can't say, come on, you Spurs anymore. So I'll just say good evening and see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.